Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the journey of understanding human life, creating a fulfilling life. And this is 100-day journey, and today's day 15. Today's day 15. And before we get into the new lesson today, we'll have a couple of minutes to share or to reflect on your new lessons, your applicable lessons, which we can't take away, or on your realization. So let's do it. And we know that this is the way. This is how we apply the principle of brain activation. Last week, in the last section, we have explored about the reality triangle, which explains human life root cause under the moral philosophy or common sense. Let's review a little bit before you get into the new section. So this knowledge called the reality triangle. The reality triangle. So through this triangle, we understand humans' reality. We understand our realities. And from the moral philosophy, human life reality or human reality uh, root cause is comes from the information they carry comes from the information they carry. Everything everything has the material manifestation. Everything has their own material manifestation, and it comes from its energy. It comes from its energy, and its energy comes from the information it's carry. The information is carried, and our body or anything that we can see, or even any non-material value or aspects that we want to materialize them, we can put them in the material, the reality triangle. So if you want to change your reality, you need to change the information you carry. And the information we carry comes from what we know, what we believe, and what we understand. The information we carry comes from what we know, what we believe, and what we understand. So what we know, what we believe, what we understand reflects the information we carry and is represents for our reality. Our reality. So last week we have explored about this reality triangle, and we have, when we talk about life, we can put any aspect in life in this reality triangle. So we can explain anything in life when we put it in this reality triangle. If we know its information, if we know its energy, and if we know its material manifestations, so we can put it in this reality triangle. And we have explored explored the root cause from the view of science, from the view of religion or belief, and from the view of moral philosophy. So when we put the reality in life, or the way we explain our life, so we can put it in this reality triangle, and we have here. So from science, okay, so I think we can use this one. From a scientific perspective, we borrow a knowledge which we call the root cause formula of life. And from this root cause formula of life, we understand that our life root cause comes from our mental images. From our mental images. Change image, change life. Clarify image is result. And from religious perspective or religion's belief perspective, um, we borrow the knowledge human structures, and from structures, we know that we know that the root cause of human life comes from three units within us: evil units, merit units, and blessing units. Evil represents for the negative particles, the negative units within us, and those who have a lot of these evil particles, they encounter very unwanted things, undesirable events in their life, hardships, a lot of troubles. And those who have the blessing units, a lot of blessings particles, which corresponds to their positive particles, and they encounter their desire life. They experience a good life. And those who have merit, which represents for the balance unit, balance particles, they are able to awaken their wisdom, and they simply face any trouble, anything in their life in balance, in peace. And they simply attend the inner peace. So if anyone who wants to have a good life with their material life and spiritual life, they need merit and blessing. They don't need evil. And from the common sense, the view of common sense or the moral philosophy, we have the knowledge, the reality triangle. The reality triangle, and we put everything in this reality triangle, and we can explain its reality. So from the reality triangle, we have the concept of source concepts. Source concepts. The source concepts is what we know, what we believe, what we understand, and they reflect the information we carry, and it represents for the reality we experience. So when it comes to happiness, what we know about happiness, what we believe about happiness, what we understand about happiness is our source concept about happiness, and it reflects the information we carry about happiness as represents for our reality in happiness, regarding happiness. And let's say when we talk about finance and what we know about finance, what we believe about finance, we believe if we have a good or bad financial condition, for example, and what we know about finance um, is the source concepts that we have about finance. It reflects the information we carry about finance and is represents for our reality about financial condition or finance. And when it comes to what else, relationship, what we know about the relationship, what we believe in relationship, what we understand about relationship is the source concepts, is the source concepts that we have about relationship. It represents, it reflects the information we carried about relationship, and it represents for the reality we have in relationship. And when it comes to health, what we know about health, what we believe in health, what we understand about health is the source concepts that we have about health. It represents the information we carry about health, and it, it reflects our reality about health. So similarly, you can take any aspect in our life and put in this reality triangle, and you understand your reality. And when you understand your realities, you know you can measure where it is now and how far it is to your destination, your desire. And if you see that, if it's like in the information, or if it's like in the in energy, or the material manifestation, so you just make it fulfill this angle, so you have the fulfilling reality. So the concept is just like that. And for and we need, because our source concepts represents for the information, reflects the information we carries, represents for the realities we have. And if you want to have the good reality, you want to have desirable reality, you need the beneficial or helpful source concepts. So that's why we need to develop beneficial source concepts or helpful source concepts. When you search on the internet, there are a lot of harmful informations, a lot of unbeneficial source concepts or informations. So we need to accumulate, we need to collect. So that's why we need to develop beneficial source concept. And this reality triangle will help us to develop the beneficial source concepts. And from beginning, we we know that. And the standards reference systems can help us to develop the beneficial source concepts, because the standard reference system is the reference system which can help us develop the beneficial source concepts, which can explain the root cause of life. And now we have three standard reference systems. From science, we have the root cause formula of life. From religion's angle, we have human structures. And from common sense or moral philosophy, we have the reality triangle. So these reality triangle, human structures, and root cause formula of light are the standard reference system. So when you want to explain anything, when you want to refer to uh, someone's reality, life, we can stand on these reference systems to explain. And is because it can tell us the root cause of human life from these three views. So we use this as the standard reference system. And to develop the beneficials concept, if you remember in the very first beginning sections, we have mentioned about the seven dimensions of holistic wealth, right? Let me here. So we need the not only material things, material assets. We also need the non-material assets to have the fulfilling life. And with these seven dimensions of holistic wealth, we have the holistic wealth. We need wisdom. We need in the state or the state of mind, the wealth in the state, the rich in the state, the rich in characters, the rich in virtues, the rich in or just physical manifestation of physical well-being, the rich in capability, and the rich in material well-being or material wealth. So, and in these seven dimensions of holistic wealth, the first light we need to light into our house, the house of inner being, of health, of relationship, of finance, is wisdom. Wisdom. Without wisdom, without wisdom, on a path is very struggling. So we need wisdom to light our path, awaken our wisdom. So, and wisdom is a non-material value, right? It's a non-material thing. So we need to materialize it. Through the reality triangle, we can materialize the non-material values. So that is one of the very crucial of very crucial functions of reality triangle. And today, let's get to know what is wisdom. Long ago, I told one of my teacher that I want to have wisdom so that it can light my path and guide me on the right path. And at the time, wisdom is something very far away from me. And I thought it's just only those who stay in a very remote areas and meditate for a long, long time, enlighten something could attain wisdom. But since I have learned from the wise men and I understand the wisdom in a simpler ways. And today I'm so happy to share with everyone about what I have learned. And it's really helpful for us. And let's check it out. Right. So From beginning until now, let me tell you a secret. We are just at a door, a door of our house, in a being house. Okay, wisdom. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for your presence and your hearts. All right. So, because we know about the reality triangle, we put to uh, the wisdom into the reality triangle to materialize it. At first, let's draw together this image. Now is the time for us to light the light of wisdom, the light of wisdom in our house, the house of our the house of our inner being. This is the light of wisdom. Hello, Sam. Hello, everyone. Okay. Everybody, are you ready to light the wisdoms in your house? Okay, let's do it. We have wisdom. Wisdom. And we also have triangle of wisdom. The first one still information. And we also have the energy angle and material manifestation. We explored the first angle of wisdom, which is information. Information. And let me read the information of wisdom. Wisdom can simply be understood as a concept referring to the state of inner awareness. The number of levels of wisdom corresponds to the number of states of inner awareness a person have a person has. Again, wisdom can simply be understood as a concept referring to the state of inner awareness. The number of levels of wisdom corresponds to the number of states of inner awareness a person has. Again, wisdom can simply be understood as a concept referring to the state of inner awareness. The number of levels of wisdom corresponds to the number of states of inner awareness a person has. So, from this definition about wisdom, we understand that wisdom is nothing just the state of inner awareness. Simply, it could be it's very vague or it could be very complicated. It's aware, but here the wise men have shared with us that it simply can be understood as the concept of state of inner awareness. So we have inner awareness state or the state of inner awareness. The state of inner awareness. And the number of inner awareness states corresponds to the number of the levels of wisdom. So there are 5 states of inner awareness. five states of the inner awareness. We have five. We have five. So let's explore it one by one. First one, the inner awareness state number one is the state of inner awareness that distinguishes between right and wrong, good and bad, true and false, and what should or should not be done in relation to objects, events, phenomena, circumstances, and people. Again, inner awareness state number one is the state of inner awareness that distinguishes between right and wrong, good and bad, true and false, and what should or should not be done. What should or should not do. Okay. In relation to objects, events, phenomena, circumstances, and people. So we have that is the inner awareness, which distinguishes between right, right, and wrong, good, and bad, true, and false. So, what should do and should not do? Shouldn't, shouldn't. Okay. Distinguished. Correct. Distinct. Distinguish. Okay. Distinguish. Hmm. Okay. So the inner awareness state number one is the state of inner awareness that distinguishes between right and wrong, good and bad, true and false, and should not do, should do and should not do. In relation to objects, to events, to phenomena, to custom circumstances and people. So if you have that inner awareness, you have the inner awareness state number one. And I believe that everybody have yeah, there are times in a day we distinguish something right, we see that something right or wrong, and or we can think something's good or bad, if it's true or false, we should do or should not do that. So when you have that inner awareness, that is the inner awareness state number one. Inner awareness state number one. And when people use this inner awareness state, the state of inner awareness number one, in at work, is very helpful. Is very will be helpful and effective for them when they use it in at work. And at work, you need to know what's right to do, what's good to do, if it's true or not, if it should or should not do. But some people mistakenly use it in relationship. It will be a different story. There is no right or wrong, good or bad, truth or false on in a relationship. And those the troubles or any problems in relationships comes from this inner awareness states. Because when you focus on who's the right, who's good, who's true, so it's gradually broken your relationship, your connections. Because so that's why someone said that you choose happiness or you are the right person. You are right. You choose between the two. If you choose happiness, you know what you should do. Thank you, Leo. Thank you, everyone, for your wellness. Okay, so everybody has there are times in your life that you know what's right, what's good, what's true, what should do or should not do. So it means that you have the inner awareness states. Number one. So we can see that wisdom is simpler now, right? And the second, the second, we have the inner awareness state two or inner awareness two. Inner awareness state number two or inner awareness state two. Okay, we have inner awareness state number two. Is the state of inner awareness that reflects the understanding of the root cause of life, originating from within oneself. Again, inner awareness state number two or inner awareness state two is the state of inner awareness that reflects the understanding of the root cause of life, comes from within oneself, comes from within oneself. The root cause of life comes from within. Come from within. It's and from the three standards reference systems, we understand that it all it all comes from our mental mental image from our inner states, right? We have, if we have the um, balanced state towards positivity, so we can experience a good material and spiritual life. So it depends on our inner states, and our inner states decides by our blessings, comes from our blessings and merits. 3 units, blessing and merits, if you want to have the good life experience. And the source concepts, from what we know, what we believe, what we understand. Okay. So the inner awareness state number 2, or inner awareness state 2, is the state of inner awareness that reflects the understanding of the root cause of life comes from within. So if you have the understanding that your cause of life, your life comes from within, not from outside. From that moment, you take the ownership. You take the ownership of your life and come from within. So what are they? It comes from our mental images. It comes from our inner states. It comes from our source concepts. So if you want to change your reality, you change your life, you need to change your mental images. Change image, change life. And switch your inner state between balanced state to the positive states to have the good experience in life. And you need to have their beneficial source concepts. You need to have the helpful knowings, helpful beliefs, and helpful understanding to have their helpful beneficial source concept. So these 3 factors are the factors from within, that if you change them, you change your life, you change your reality. And what if you use this inner awareness states in your relationship? So anything happens in your relationship, you can apply this inner awareness state. And whatever happens, you know that it comes from within. Your inward reflects your outwards. So whatever happens to you, whatever comes to you, you notice is from within. So that's why you see it, you experience it, not others. Not others. And if you want to change your reality, change your mental image, change your inner state, change your source concept. So you have the right, the complete right, or the power to change your life. You need to rely, you don't need to rely on someone else for your happiness, for your inner peace, for the harmonies in relationship, for your finance, for anything. Because we know that with this inner awareness states, we understand that the root cause of life comes from within. So whenever you have this awareness, It means that you have the inner awareness state number two at a time. And you know that during a day, so you can experience some inner awareness states. Not only one, you might have at work, you might use the inner awareness state number one. In relationship, when you interact with other people, you have the inner awareness number two, for example. And this inner awareness reminds me about some stories that I have heard from my master, my teachers. There was a newlywed couple have a honeymoon in uh, the primal forest, and at that after in the afternoons they just hands in hands stroll through the forest. While walking, both of them heard the sounds whack 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 from the nearby bush, and the husband immediately said, "How can in this forest there was a duck?" And the wife replied right away, "It was not a duck, it's a chicken." And the husband said, and then the similar sound just echoed in the forest. Whack whack, whack whack. And the husband said, "No, it's I I'm so sure is a duck. It's a duck." At the time, the wife get angry and she said, "How can you say it's a duck? It should be a chicken. How can there's a duck in this forest?" And when the husband or his wife got angry like that, and because they just a newlywed couple, so um, he tried to calm her down and said, "Okay, okay, honey, it's a chicken. It's a chicken." And both of them smiled at each other and they just hold hand in hand, continue walking through that forest. And there is very meaningful lessons from the story, but at first I haven't recognized. And my master have shared the lessons from that story. If if from that bush a duck come out, a duck come out, what happened? What happened if a duck came out from that bush? So from that day until the rest of their life, the husband's always right. The husband is always right. The husband is always right. Whenever they have the arguments or conflicts, and the husband might bring it up and says, "Do you remember when we was on honeymoon and we hear the sound whack whack in the forest? And I told you it was a duck, and it was a duck, really." So, I always right when we argue, and from that moment until the rest of their life, the husband's always right because every time they have the arguments, he will bring it up that story up again. And if from that bush the chicken come out, so from that moment, the wife is always right. And whenever they have the arguments, they have conflicts, the wife could bring that story out. See, You remember when we was on honeymoon? I told you it was a chicken, and it was a chicken. I'm always right. And when and my master said that most of the reason, most of the reasons for the bad connections or unhappy in the relationship is not happy in a relationship because just trivial things like that to see who is right or who is wrong, who is good or who is bad. It's very, very trivial things. But day by days build up until it will become a very big tumor. And it's a reason for most of the reasons for the problems in the relationship. So in a relationship, we cannot use the inner awareness. Day number one, distinguish between right or wrong, good or bad, true or false, or should or should not. And there is another story. This is not a story. In that condominium, there are many units, right? There are many units in a condominiums, and um, there are two families. The first one is very unhappy. They have the arguments all the times, and we often hear the screaming from their house. And another family is very happy. It's very happy. It's harmonious. And one day, the husbands from both families went to empty their trash bin, empty their trash, and they met each other. And the husband in the unhappy family asked the happy husband, that I wonder how can your families be happy like that? In our family, we always argued. We have the conflicts all the time, and we couldn't agree to each other. And their happy husband replied, because if I tell you this once, please um, don't take the hard feeling on it. I just shared my point of view. And the unhappy husband said, "Okay, just let me know." And the happy husband said, "Because your families are all the good people. Your families are everybody in your families are good people. But our families, all of us understand that we are bad people." And the unhappy husbands was shocked when he heard that that's true. And he asked, "What do you mean? Why we are good people and we are not happy?" And the happy husband said, "Once I pass I passed through your family, and I heard the story that you was in the kitchen, and you mistakenly dropped the glass in the floor, and your wife was in the living room, and you yelled at her that, why do you put the glass here? So it's making me drop this glass on the floor." And your wife said that where's my fault? You're the one who dropped it, and now you told me uh put it there. So that's the reason for you to tell me that I'm the one. It's my fault. And you said that it should be in the rack. How can it's here? And both of you have the arguments. And while you are arguing, your your son just came out from the room and he steps on the piece skirt of the class, and he said, "Well, both of you are arguing, and I have I stepped on the class and it got injury." So three of you have the arguments bigger and bigger. And we have the same situation. I encounter the same situation. And that day I was in the kitchen and I dropped the class. And then I tried to I'm afraid that my family members could step on it, so I tried to collect it. And my wife from the living room heard the sound, and uh, she ran into the kitchen and asked if I'm okay or not, and she say sorry about that because she have put it in the edge of the table, so it make me drops the class. And I told her, no, no, it's my fault. I'm the one who dropped it. So both us just collect the classes and throw them. And my children never stepped on those classes as your families. So from two stories, we understand that why he said from the beginning, the happy husband said from the beginning that their families are bad people. The people in the members in his families are bad. So because they don't think they are good, so they think it comes from them. So everything happens, they apologize. They apologize first, and so that's why they can keep the harmony in the family. But in the unhappy husband families, they think they're good people, and good people never say sorry, never think that it's their fault because they're good. They do the right thing. So we can see from both stories, from both families, they just have different awareness. The happy husbands the happy husbands families has the understanding that everything comes from themselves. So they just try to resolve from within and never plans for others for their unhappiness or their problems. And the unhappy husbands families has different understandings. They use the inner awareness state number one. They distinguish between right and wrong and try to prove that they are right. They are good. So that's why it is worked out there, the relationship. So if you want to have happiness, if you choose happiness, we need to have, we need to raise our inner awareness state to number two. It means that we understand that the root cause of life, of our lives, comes from within, come from ourselves. So by doing that, can we take the ownership of our lives? We take the power, the full power to govern our lives. All right, so that is The inner awareness state number 2. And let's move to the inner awareness state number 3. If anyone has any question, any doubt, or you want me to clarify anything, you can add comments, put anything, put it in the comments. So I can clarify your doubts. Inner awareness state number 3. Inner awareness state number 3 is the state of the true nature of inner self. In other words, inner emptiness. Inner emptiness. Inner emptiness. The inner emptiness. Okay. The inner awareness state 3, or the inner awareness state number 3, is the state of the true nature of the inner self, which is the inner emptiness. The inner emptiness. Inner emptiness. And I believe that if you have seen the previous sessions, we have mentioned about the emptiness, the inner emptiness. Let me find. Let me draw another one, another diagram. So we know that from human structures, we know that our human has 4 layers. The innermost ones is the layers of the truth, and in the truth there is a being. There is a being with hearing nature, seeing nature, saying nature, and knowing nature. There is the truth within us, which is never changing, everlasting, and is enveloped by the halo energy, which is never changing, everlasting. There is no positive or negative charge. Then there is no positive and negative particles. There's balanced particles. So that's why it's never changing, everlasting. And the second layer of human structure. So we have human nature layer, human nature. And the third layer is the layer of emotion. So this is also the inner being. And the outer shell, the outer layers is our body, human body. And we use, if a message comes to this layer, the truth layer, the innermost layer, we just accept it. And from the human nature, we analyze, analyze it, analyze the message, or distinguish, distinguish. Hmm. Distinguish. Hmm. And if the message, if our message comes, if the message comes and we use the emotion layered response, so react on the message, on the message. I just remarked about this knowledge as we have explored about the inner peace or inner emptiness in the previous section. So when the message comes, when the message comes, is it goes directly to the truth layer. It goes directly to the truth layer. And it depends on our human natures, our emotion layers. If they intervenes very fast, right after the message comes to the truth layer. So there is it's analyzed the message, it's distinguish the message. Hmm. Or it reacts on a message by our emotion. Let's say What is this? Look at the camera on my face. And I'm holding this one. So when I ask, what is this? Before your awareness say something. Is a marker, right? Is or a pen, a marker. So before that, you receive the message. What is this? And your see in nature. See it first. You see in nature. See it first. All right. You see in nature. See it first. So in the truth nature, in the truth nature, there there are four natures. There are four natures which is never changing, everlasting. The hearing nature, the seeing nature, the saying nature, and the knowing nature. Why do we call this hearing nature, seeing nature, saying nature, knowing nature? Because inside any one of us, we all have these four natures, which is never changing, everlasting. What we hear can change, but the hearing nature is never changed. It's never changing. You can just try to cover your ears. Do you hear something? Do you hear anything? You hear something. You hear there's sound or there's no sound. What you hear can change and it's changed all the time. But the hearing nature is never changing. Never changes. It's never changed. And we call this hearing nature, which is never changing, everlasting. And the seeing nature. What we see change. What we see changes. But the seeing nature is never changing. The seeing nature is never changing. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Do you see anything? You could see something. You see black or white or any color. Somebody see their loved ones when they close their eyes. So even the blind can see. But what they see and what we see are different. The deaf can hear and the blind can see. But what they hear, what they see are different with us, to us. So that's why everybody has the seeing nature which is never changing, everlasting. What we see can change, but the seeing nature is never changing. And any one of us has them. The knowing nature, the saying nature. What we say can change and change all the time. A second moment before, I say different things, and what I'm saying now is different. What we say can change and change all the time, but the saying nature is never changing. The saying natures always exist. It's never changing, everlasting. Even if you don't open your mouth to say it, there's still something you are saying in your mind. So the saying nature is never changing, everlasting. And everybody has. So the dumb people can say because they have the same nature as us. And the knowing nature, everybody has the knowing natures, which is never changing, everlasting. What we know can change, and it changes all the time, but the knowing nature is never changing. We always know something. What we know can change, but the knowing nature is never changing because we always know something. And when a message comes to us, before we distinguish the message, we analyze the message or we react on that message. The see nature, the hearing natures, except I think I should use the receive. Receive. Yeah, receive. The truth, our truth nature from within, or the seeing nature, receive first. Receive first. I'm holding this one and I ask you, what is it? Before you analyze that information, before you distinguish the information or react on this information, you see it first. And it's the seeing nature. The seeing nature receive this message first. And when you see something or you hear something, when the hearing nature, the seeing natures receive a message, and your inner, your human nature and emotions have not intervened yet, has haven't jumped in yet. It means that there's the human natures hasn't analyzed the message yet or distinguished the message yet, or the emotion layer hasn't react on the message yet. So there will be a space, the inner space, the space within us. Very tranquil space, peaceful space. And it initiates a nature which we call the inner emptiness or the truth nature, the inner emptiness, the inner emptiness. And the inner peace follows. So let me draw this analogy. This is a raft. This is a raft. And this raft is in a bank of a river. In this bank of this side of the river. And you want to go use this raft to bring you to the other side of the river. Where is the inner peace? Inner peace. And you borrow the hearing nature. seeing nature as a raft to bring you to the other side of the river with the inner peace. So when the message comes, you're hearing nature, you're seeing nature, receive the message first. And if that moment can last for a while, it generates a space from within. It generates the inner space and initiates the inner emptiness. The inner emptiness states and inner peace follows. And when the message comes, you're seeing nature, you hear nature, receive the message. But then right away, the human nature jumped in to analyze the message, distinguish the message, and the emotion jumped in to react on the message. So there will be no inner emptiness state, the truth nature state, and there is no inner peace. And this is the formula of attaining the inner peace. Giving sometimes, I'm giving the space for you to internalize this message. And this is something that we cannot think of, we cannot analyze, we cannot use our thinking to analyze it. So, this knowledge, the truth, the inner emptiness, the inner peace, so if we're able to receive it, we receive it. Those who have merits, they can receive the truth from within. So when we receive the message by hearing nature, seeing nature, and it lasts long enough to initiate the inner emptiness state, so we call that we receive the truth from within, and initiate the inner emptiness state, and inner peace follows. And this one, receiving the truth from within. Anyone who receive it, they receive it. If you haven't received yet, it's no worry. This is something we cannot analyze or thinking about it. or think about it. Just note it's like that. And when you have merit, you receive it. The more we think, the more we stay away from the truth, from the truth. So this is something that we cannot think just receive the message. And now we know what is the inner emptiness states. What is the inner emptiness states? Okay. So go back to the inner emptiness state. That is the inner emptiness state number 3. Inner awareness state number 3. Inner awareness state 3, or inner awareness state number 3 is the state of inner emptiness states, in the state of inner emptiness, the state of the true nature of inner self, which is the inner emptiness state. So with this state can help us to overcome any problems, any troubles, because when we face anything, we receive the truth from within, initiate the inner emptiness state. Inner peace follows. At a time, we have the balance inner state. With this state, we have the balance inner state. With the balance inner state, with the balance inner state, the undesired events or any undesired realities becomes, so we stopped, if we remember about the principle, the operating principle of subconscious mind, right? So when we shift our inner state to balance, we stopped pouring water, fertilizers, any conducive conditions for that undesired reality, undesired tree grows, produce more foods, more undesired foods. So we shift to the balanced state. When we can shift our state inner state to the balanced states, so we are able to deal with anything in our life. And the third inner awareness state is the inner emptiness. So from the first the inner awareness state, we distinguish between right and wrong, good and bad, true and false, should do and should not do, what should do and what should not do. So we use it. We can use it in at work. Is will be very beneficial to your work if you know what's right to do, what's good to do, what's true to do it, and if it's true or not, or if we should do it or not. And for the inner awareness state number 2, we have the understanding that the root cause of life comes from within. And when we apply it in our relationships, in social relationships or relationships with our loved ones, and we know that everything comes from us. So if you want any realities that you want, you just come back and change the seeds, the inner seeds, the cause, insights, then you can change your reality. And the inner awareness, number three, the inner awareness three, state three, is the inner emptiness state, which can help us to have the balance states when we face anything. And it can stop any undesired results, any undesired fruit, any undesired reality. And once we are in the balanced state, we can shift to the positive state simply. So that's all for today. Thank you very much, everyone, for your presence, for your quality time, for your heart, thousand hearts. I really appreciate that for your gift, for your warmness. And we'll continue the information of wisdoms tomorrow. And I'm grateful for your presence. And I'm also grateful for the knowledge that I have received from the wise men so that I'm able to share it to everyone here. So that's all for today. It's time to wrap up. And thank you very much, everyone. Bye for now and see you tomorrow.